wish I were here with better news. The fact is that you and I are sitting here today because this will be your last week of employment at this company.
Why me?
What am I supposed to do now?
Am I supposed to feel better that I'm not the only one losing my job?
This is ridiculous. I have been a fine employee for over 10 years, and this is the way you treat me.
WWE with more releases. Honestly, this is for the first time in a couple of years we've seen a round of just a bunch of releases like this since like 2021 or so, back in the pandemic. But now they're coming right back at it with the new merger with UFC. They're just getting rid of people left and right, especially today. They got rid of people this morning. They're getting rid of people this afternoon in NXT. It's just ridiculous, honestly. So I'm just here to dive into them and try not to take 17 years talking about it. Okay, so starting off hot, we have what is undoubtedly the biggest name on this list. Former two-time World Heavyweight Champion Dolph Ziggler has been released by WWE today, one of the most underrated talent in professional wrestling history. He was absolutely amazing at selling a pretty decent promo and pretty good in the ring. His finisher wasn't the greatest, but we don't fault him on that. Dolph Ziggler is just an all-around role player for the WWE and has been for the past 15 plus years. And it's just crazy to think that he's gone. But at the same time, it's probably good because they weren't using him to his fullest potential. And I mean, yeah, he's getting up there in age, but like, he still has a fair amount. You can tell he's still got some in the tank. So I think he could go somewhere like AEW and be like one of their top guys there. Because Dolph Ziggler is such an underrated talent, and his brother's already at AEW, so that probably gives him more incentive to go to AEW, unless he just doesn't have a well relationship with his brother, which I do not believe that is the case. I'm pretty sure they have a well relationship, but that's not the point. This is not family drama time. This is WWE releases time. I've said all I needed to say. Let's move on so this doesn't take 12 decades. Up next, we got Shanky. The only thing I really remember him doing is being one of Jinder Mahal's goons for a couple of months, so it really makes sense why they got rid of him. Couldn't talk, couldn't wrestle. That's all I really have to say about him, so let's just move on. Now I can say the same thing for Dabba-Kato as well. The only thing is he was the goon for the former Intercontinental Champion Apollo Crews while he was the Intercontinental Champion, so he was a bit bigger of a name, but still, same thing, can't talk, can't wrestle, was just a goon, and I'm not really too upset to see him go. Up next is Ulisa Leon. I don't really know her that well because I didn't really watch NXT, and so she might have been a good performer, she might not have been. I don't know, I mean, she's getting released, so that shows that she's not really that great, but maybe she is, I don't know. Like I said, I haven't watched the product, so not really going to comment. Same goes for Quincy Elliott. Never really watched NXT. He might have been a good performer. He might not have been. So, I don't know. I'm not really going to comment. Up next is Dana Brooke. She is one of those who I personally believe outstayed her welcome a long, long time, and I feel like she should have been released a lot sooner. She can't talk, she can't wrestle, but yet they had her hired for over a decade. That's just confusing to me. So I'm not really upset to see her go. And that's about it, all I have to say about her. Up next, we got Mace and Mansour, the Maximum Male models. They aren't really anything without LA Knight, and LA Knight wasn't anything with them, and they weren't really doing anything, so I guess it's just makes sense to just get rid of them and stop paying them for nothing. Don't really have an opinion on them. Weren't the biggest fans, but don't really hate them either, so let's just move on. Up next is Emma. Now, I don't really understand why they rehired her in the first place. She hasn't been relevant since like 2014, so everyone forgot about her at that point, so I don't really know why they rehired her. I mean, you saw at her return, nobody made a sound because they forgot who she was. So I guess it makes sense just to get rid of the unnotable names. Up next is Aaliyah. Now, I don't really remember much about her because I didn't really watch WWE as much when she was on television. Like, I'm pretty sure she was with a tag team with somebody and won the women's tag team titles or something. I can't exactly remember, didn't watch it back then. But Yeah, I don't know. Seems like not many people are commenting on much on Aaliyah's departure from the company, so I'll just move on and not really say much else. Now this one is a little bit bitter just because I never really liked Elias, but he did have some moments when I was a bit younger. Like I'll always remember WrestleMania 35, him just going out there in the middle of the ring and just doing his shenanigans with music and stuff, and then out of nowhere just the Doctor of Thugonomics, John Cena, comes out and interrupts him. I don't know why, but I just will vividly remember watching that at like 11:30 at night, and it was just awesome. But all in all, I don't really care that much that he's gone. I mean, the Ezekiel character absolutely sucked, and once that was over, he didn't really do anything. He made a return as Elias and then didn't do anything. So, I mean, kind of makes sense why he's gone, but still, like I said, a bit bitter, bit sour. Now, I don't really get this one. WWE released Rick Boogs. Now, the reason why I don't get it is because he has a great physique. He has really good charisma. That's exactly what they're looking for, but yet they just got rid of him like nothing. I mean, I'll pop up the picture right now of him and up next to The Rock. He makes The Rock look small. Now, I get he's closer to the camera and stuff like that, but still, in general, not many people can make The Rock look small no matter how close to the camera you are compared to him. So that is insane. That is the type of stuff WWE is looking for, and I don't really understand why they got rid of him. Now, this one's a bit different because Mustafa Ali did not get fired or released from WWE. Instead, he quit WWE today, along with all the other released contracts. I don't exactly know why. I mean, it makes sense. I thought he was going to quit a long time ago. I just don't know why he chose today to do it instead of like 2 years ago when he was the leader of Retribution for no reason whatsoever. He's been booked horribly for the past like 2 years, and I have no idea why he stuck with him as long as he did. Maybe it's because of the money. I don't know, but he seemed really unhappy for the past like 2 years. So I don't get why he's leaving now, but thank the Lord he did. Maybe he'll actually go somewhere else and get booked pretty well. Like, I'm sure he would fit in perfectly in a place like GCW, you know? Just one of those, like, not exactly AEW. He would probably, like, mix in with, like, people like Andrade and Scorpio Sky. But I feel like he would be, like, a really good asset for a company like GCW that's not at the heights of like AEW or WWE. So I hope he finds success somewhere else because he's a pretty good athlete in general. Up next, we see the release of Riddick Moss. I never really watched Riddick Moss. The only thing I've seen of him was when he was Madcap Moss in that rivalry with Baron Corbin. I never liked him. He never had any personality to me. I wasn't that big on him in the ring. And the only thing I really remember is him getting drilled on his head by Drew McIntyre in like Saudi Arabia or something. It was brutal. But still, I remember that very vividly. But that's all I remember of Riddick Moss is the time he got concussed or almost got concussed. I don't exactly remember by Drew McIntyre because he took the Alabama Slam wrong or something. It was crazy, but I don't really remember much about him. Don't remember that him having much charisma. Don't remember him being great in the ring. So I'm going to just move on. And this last one hurts. Shelton Benjamin has been released from his WWE contract today. This one hurts probably the most other than like Dolph Ziggler, just because he can still go, but he hasn't been treated well booking wise ever since the Hurt Business split up. Because him and Shelton Benjamin had the tag team titles, and as soon as the Hurt Business split up, they were gone. They didn't even really have a rivalry with Bobby Lashley and MVP like it seemed like they were gonna do. That only lasted like for a week on Monday Night Raw, and that's it. He hasn't done anything for the past 2 years, which is really sad, and I have no idea if he's going to keep wrestling, like go somewhere else and keep wrestling or not. Because he's getting up there in age, and I don't exactly know how much he thinks he's got in him. Because I haven't really seen him do anything, like I said, in like 2 years. And so this one is kind of sad. I think he may go somewhere else. Like, I don't think it's like completely out of the question. but I'm not completely sure. I hope to see him go somewhere else, but you never really know with this kind of stuff. So that's really all I gotta say. It's a true shame. Now, I know I've been a little harsh this video on some of these people, and it's never really a happy thing to see people lose their jobs, but all in all, I believe this was probably a good business decision for WWE, just in general, because, I mean, just, they weren't being used, and so some of these people probably are really happy, like Mustafa Ali, just to have the chance to go somewhere else and actually do something instead of just being in the mid card. Like, these are the type of people who, like, if we're around 2 years ago, would have been the 24/7 champion. In fact, I'm pretty sure Mansour and Mustafa Ali were 24/7 champions. So, like, that's not good. They aren't getting booked very well, and so it's kind of bittersweet because I don't really want to see them get fired, but at the same time, they can now go off and do something else that's like actually worth something people will actually pay attention to, and they won't get forgotten is what I'm trying to say. I mean, some of them, if they went to like a place like AEW, I think they would, but like there's other places too, like GCW and the indies and stuff like that. So I think these people can actually make names for themselves in other places. And that's really all I gotta say. Peace!